we will also be covering the alternative programs that you can use. So in the meantime, while he's talking, maybe just introduce yourself in the chat. I see a couple of people have said hi. It would be nice to know if any of you have made podcasts before. It's not really that different to a narrated PowerPoint. We're just going to be covering different ways that you can do it. So if you have done a narrated PowerPoint, you've kind of done a podcast, but maybe just it's in a video format and not in an MP3 format. So yeah, it'll be good to know who you are and the department you're from. And then also let us know if you're using a Mac or a Windows laptop. That will be very helpful to us. And then the way the webinar will run is Stefan will present. If you have any questions at any point in time, please don't be shy. Raise your hand in the reactions bar at the bottom or pop a message into the chat. If it's related to what he's going through, so if he's speaking too fast or you miss something, then raise your hand and then I will ask him to repeat that piece of information. But if it's a general other question, please pop it into the chat and then I will try to answer it as best I can, or I will break and ask him to answer the question. So we've got a few people that said PowerPoint, no podcasts. I'm using a Mac, I'm using Windows, another Windows, and another Windows, no podcast. So sounds like we've got a Windows webinar going on today, one Mac user. So hopefully that will be helpful to you, Stefan. And then at the end, just try and stick around. We'll try as best to keep to time. At the end, we've got important information to share with you regarding email addresses if you need to book a one-on-one consultation. And also there generally is a quick survey that there's a link sent out. And that's very helpful to us to tell us what we're doing correctly in the webinar or what you need to hear going forward. So we really, really would appreciate if you stick around for that link and then we can get that feedback. Otherwise, I'm going to hand over to Stefan and he will get going.
Hi, everyone. All right, so I am a video producer at the Center for Innovation in Learning and Teaching. And there were requests for podcasts. And a podcast is basically an audio recording, right? So you don't have the visual representation happening. So everything happens on audio. The file sizes are much smaller. It's easier to share. And for some, it's easier to follow along with audio because you can focus on your notes or reading or whatever you want to focus on because it's happening in your ears and you can do whatever you're doing. So for a lot of people, it's their preferred method of learning. All right, so podcast makes a lot of things simpler, but it makes a lot of other areas more complex. So your focus here would be the audio, right? Well, second to your content and the delivery of it. So I'll take you through equipment, right? From very basic equipment, uh, like things that most people have laying around at home, and to proper advanced equipment. So what I'd like now is just to gauge um, more or less, Laura, maybe if you can just tell me here from the chat, if people can put in the chat the equipment you have, if you're advanced, like you have an audio interface with a professional microphone, or you just plan to use your your headset or your onboard microphone in your devices.
Okay, I'm just going to give it a couple of
So the
minutes.
distinction there would be basic or advanced. I just want to get an idea of how many people want advanced and how many people want basic.
Okay, Steph, so far in the chat, I can see a lot of people using basic. They've got their headset or they got their onboard mic. Nobody seems to have
Okay.
advanced equipment. So I think we can stick to the basic setup.
Lovely. Okay. Thanks, everyone. All right. So basic is great for me. If there's time and anybody wants to go through advanced, you can mail us or we can talk to that if we've got time left over. But yeah, I'll take you through the equipment and then how to set up for basic because we're going with basic. And then I'm going to demonstrate Audacity for you. So Audacity is like a one-stop shop for audio. Okay. And then I'll show you the alternative ways of making your podcasts. And lastly, with my introduction, I wanted to say that if you want to broadcast your podcasts in a different way, other than for teaching, because we'll just be using the LMS. So you'll upload to Vula and get all of those advantages. But if you want like podcasting outside, you can message me personally on the mail that we will provide, tmu.silt, I think it is. Anyhow, there's different software for broadcasting and streaming and all of those. But this is just how to make your podcast and then have it published on your course site. Okay, so before we get started on the technical aspects and the physical doing, these are some tips that you need to consider, right? This is like a so there's no visual representation. People would be hearing is the voiceover and the music, whatever you put there, the audio. So if you've got a reading, you have to frequently just give people audio cues as to where you are, what you're speaking to. So if you're speaking crazy fast, hello everyone, am I back?
Hi, Steph. Yes, you are back. I think let me
Yeah,
try and
sorry about that. I think the Wi-Fi cut out here on
okay, let me
campus.
try and share my screen and then you can just tell
Yeah,
me when to
I'll switch my
move.
video off as well.
Just give me a second. Bear with us, guys. With these technical difficulties. Okay, that should be better. Can everyone see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I can't hear you anymore, Laura, but
I muted myself. I'm
oh,
gonna
okay,
hand over to you.
lovely. All right, so we are over here. Yeah, so when you have a reading or anything that you're following, or that you're referring to, you have to leave frequent audio cues or link to the information, right? So if you're working on page 128, after about 2 minutes or 3 minutes of speaking to that, just refer back to it and tell the listeners where they are, right? Where you are, so that they don't get lost, and it's just easier for the learning because some people um yeah, they might not go as fast, so they can pause or whatever, and they might have lost their place. So refer back to wherever you are frequently, right? That's important. Describe what you're talking about. Okay, so be descriptive. That's the first point. And then the speaking clearly. Um, a lot of us don't hear ourselves. So making podcasts will help you to know what you sound like on recordings, right? So you'll have to practice this thing, but like speak clearly, get your enunciation right. Your tone of voice, like you can't be crazy happy when you're speaking about something sad, or be very, I don't know, nonchalant about something serious. So get your tone right, because all of that adds to the communication. And then also your speed, right? If you're gonna speak crazy fast, the Vula viewer has the ability to slow down audio and video that students are viewing, but um, to have it at normal speed, have it at a nice speed where you can listen to it. If you feel like you're coming across as somebody that's very nervous and you're going through things very quickly, they're gonna have to slow that down by the slowest speed they can. And if they download it, they won't have this function, right? So you want to get the ideal speed that's good for listening. Don't go too fast. Don't go too slow. If it's annoying to you, it's chances are that it's probably too slow. And if you can't focus and take in things, and then along with the be descriptive point, you need to also leave in little gaps of processing time. So it's the same thing with video, right? But with audio, you also need that processing time. So once you've given them a lot of information and they've read along, they can't. Most people can't listen to you and understand what they're reading along. So give some processing time there as well. So that fits in with the be descriptive point that I wanted to put in there. Sorry. Okay. So then the practicing. So this is just to make sure that you don't babble, right? We don't want, even though it's audio, it doesn't mean that we can go on forever. Our concentration spans are still the same, and the best would be to keep your sessions under 15 minutes long, right? If it does go on longer, have chaptering and things that break it up, have places for people to pause, and just, yeah, make your processing time there. Consider am I still around?
Yes, you asked if I think you just broke up for a second. So I
Oh,
think
okay.
just go back to your previous point. Sorry, everyone, just be with us. I think the weather is playing a fact that the Wi-Fi is a bit slow all around.
Yeah. Where did I break off
I think you were at,
before the
uh,
practice?
yes, speak clearly.
No, we were already
Oh,
into
okay.
practice. I think we've got the main
Yeah.
point. Move
So
on.
we can, yeah, so it's just to avoid babbling, you can practice. And I will also provide a tool where you can actually have a teleprompter up on your screen and have all your text and it moves along with your voice. So while you're recording your podcast, you can have your teleprompter script move along with voice, but I'll demonstrate as well. Laura, you can move on to the next slide. My mobile data. Okay, so um, once we've set up our script or we've memorized and practiced whatever we're going to use to guide us through our session, this is the first technical considerations that we need for even a basic or advanced setup, right? The place that you choose to use, the environment, you need to sort of treat it acoustically, right? So we don't have studios at home, so we have to work with what we have. So we find how we do this is by finding the room that has the least reflections. So if you go into a toilet, right, and you sing there's a lot of reverberations or close reflections, it makes you sound like you are in a bigger room. But that's what we want to avoid because we want your voice to be clear, right? We don't want to record the reflections bouncing off all the walls and the hard surfaces, right? So find a room with the least reflections. When I'm at home, I use my bedroom, right? Because I've got my double bed there that has a lot of absorbing materials in it. And then I've got a light blocker curtain just to keep out the noise, the light pollution, but it also absorbs some of the sound. So I've got my wardrobe as well that is filled with clothes. So for a lot of people, you can use your lounge because then you've got a couch and you've got a carpet and possibly a bookshelf. Books also absorb a lot of sound. So introduce furniture into the space that you want to record in. just to absorb that reflections, right? And then you need to think about the placement in the room. I'm jumping around with my points here. The placement within the room um, allows you to control the tonal quality of your voice. So by the tonal quality here, I mean how bassy or how high, how trebly it is. So the high and the low frequencies. If you're close to a corner, you will find that your voice becomes more boomy, so more bassy, and then you would just have to move it away. So for many people like myself, my desk is in a corner, and I wouldn't necessarily like the way that my voice sounds there because it's too boomy and it's not that clear. So I would move away from the corner when I'm recording into the center of the room, and I don't have that frequency, that bass frequency build up in the corner. So moving around in the room, you'll hear that the sound of your voice recording is different, right? So find a spot that is pleasing to you, that sounds natural to you, like what you think you sound like. All right. And then there's the environment. We want to stay away from roads where there's like rooms that's next to main roads and stuff, where there's a lot of traffic or neighbors. And then the time of day also. So you more likely to get a quiet period if you record in the morning. Like in most areas. In my area, I've got GOM playing 24/7, so it doesn't even matter what time. But it could be of great use to everybody else because maybe your area is not the same as mine. So when and where, um, consider that as well. So another trick that I have done with acoustic treatment, if you don't want to buy professional absorption panels, a lot of people have camping mattresses that like fold up into squares. And I have put mine in a U shape behind my microphone and laptop, and it absorbs a lot of the close reflections, right? So you can just put that there, and that will improve your sound quality so much better. Even if you have like a spare mattress, these foam mattresses for when visitors come, put it in a U shape around the back of your microphone or whichever device you're using to record, and it will absorb a lot of the reflections. So that's one way if you don't have a space that isn't reflective. All right, thanks, Laura. Move on to the next slide. Okay, so over here, I've got equipment, right? So we're gonna go with the basic, and I'm gonna go as far as the most advanced on the basic. I'm gonna switch my camera on for a second here just to show you the various options and what they sound like. Um, okay, so currently I've got a microphone on a stand, right? But if I go to Zoom, actually, let me just show you first, and then you'll hear the differences in sound because I have to switch between the different ways of connecting audio. So I've got this lapel over here. This is a lapel microphone. And Laura, if you can just post this in the chat, this is a Rode Smart Lav Plus. So it's quite pricey, but there are cheap alternatives, and we can also recommend different ones. But this microphone can go quite close to your mouth. So it's the third option on the screen, and it has a connector like this. So you would see that there's 3 black stripes, and that's a tip ring sleeve microphone. So TRRS. Lori, if you can post that in the chat. When you're sourcing that's going to give you a clean sound and not have any buzzing or like ocean sounds on your recording, right? With the other format of connector. So that's the lapel microphone that would give you the best sound with a basic setup, right? And then sometimes with your podcast, you want to involve someone else, and do that via Teams if you're working remotely. But if you've got somebody that's with you and you want to have sort of a joint discussion, so you want to plug in two of these two microphones, you would need a device like this, which is the Rode SC6. And what it does is it gives you one connector for your headphone and two inputs for a microphone. So this would go into your headphone jack on your device, and then you can get two microphones going in. So then you can have an interview or a joint discussion while recording into one device. You won't need this if you're using your onboard equipment. But yeah, this is useful even for when you are one person, and because this goes into the headphone jack and then you won't hear yourself, right? So this enables you to plug a headphone and the microphone. So the mic would go into this device and this goes into the computer and your headphone also goes into here. So then you can hear what's happening and conduct an interview and record everything, all right? We've got our lapel microphone. So the built-in audio for the Mac users, most of the time the built-in audio will sound good for Mac users. Mac puts in better quality audio interfaces than most of the Windows computers. Even with the high-end laptops, which run off Windows, they cut costs by providing cheaper audio interfaces, and they cut costs wherever they can. So the Mac users will have found that the onboard audio in a lot of the cases might actually be great, and they don't need to even get different, like plug in a lapel mic. And then I want to move on to the headsets. Oh, wait, while we're on the onboard audio, if you're going to be using it, try and get as close to it as possible. Right? If you're going to move far away, you're going to get a lot of the room, and then your voice to reflection ratio is going to be leaning towards the reflections and not your voice, right? So the closer you get with to the mic, the better the signal. The ratio leaning towards the signal will be better, right? So you want to get more of that, less of the reflections. So stay close if onboard built-in audio is built-in microphone is all you have. And then headsets, right? Headsets are really good. They've come with processing in a lot of cases as well. So you can get headsets that reduce the noise, these Bluetooth headsets, and even the wired ones, a lot of them come with noise reduction. And then the term you're looking for there is noise cancellation. And then you get active and passive noise cancellation. And the one you want to search for or source is active noise cancellation, because that would actually be cutting out the unwanted frequencies from the sides, from outside, the traffic noise and all that. The passive noise canceling is basically just going to cut out sound, like it's going to give you headsets that isolate sound, but it doesn't cut the sound out in the frequency. I think it doesn't cut out the frequencies you don't want. So it's sort of not processing the sound. But in Audacity, I will show you how to do this as well. If you don't want to spend money on a noise canceling headset, there's ways to do it in post-production as well. That's quite easy. Okay, but the headsets that you get with your smartphones are more than decent enough. They've got a microphone built in here. It's not as obscure as something like this. So you will, if you want to make video, nobody will see it as well, but it's got a little mic here that would be in the same position as the lapel, and it's close to your mouth. And they also do a great job because they set up to record voice. Okay, so you've got these three options, right? Buy a lapel, your built-in audio, or the headset. And it comes with its various advantages. The lapel is going to give you very natural, non-processed sounding audio, but your consideration to buy that one would only be if you have an environment that's quiet, right? Because you don't want to get the full frequency spectrum nice and natural without processing if you've got a noisy environment and you're forced to work in a noisy environment. So then you would opt for the noise cancelling headsets, right? And you also wouldn't use your built-in audio because that's going to pick up the entire room. So just keep that in the back of your head. Don't go full lapel if you've got a noisy environment. Rather go for noise cancelling headset or reduce the noise in post-production. Okay, let's move to the next slide, Laura. Okay, so this is telepromptometer.com, but I'm afraid for time, so I just want to move into the demonstrations with Audacity, how you would record, and then we'll get back to telepromptometer.com. But yeah, how are we looking for time? You can move on to the next slide, Laura.
So we just hit off
Oh.
pause. So
Oh, we had off past. Okay,
yes.
cool.
So let's
I'll
go
get back to
to the-
telepromptometer.com. Yeah, all right. So Audacity, it's free and it works on Mac and Windows, right? We've tested it on both Mac and Windows, and for the Arno Ubuntu users, but I think there's a version for that as well. So it's free software, and like I was saying, you can reduce the noise. So I'm gonna get into that now. My screen share might be an issue, but my video's been playing and I've been okay. So the internet's probably a little bit more stable now. So I'll put off my video and I'll share my screen. Let's see. Okay, so my screen should be sharing now. All right,
yes,
so
screen.
yeah, so Audacity is free software. I forgot to the download link in the PowerPoint in the presentation. But Laura, if you can just drop that in the chat, the correct should be .org, Audacity something.org. Okay, so I've got Audacity open, and it's a very simple interface, right? It's all about audio, and these controls up here. Let me hide the meeting controls. These controls up here are all that you need to work this tool. So I've got a track over here where I recorded my voice, but you can also just add a new track. By default, it will open it up and add a blank track, right? And once you select that track by clicking on the gray on the side, like I'm doing here, you can see I'm selecting the different tracks. It will highlight the track and it will record on whichever one you selected, right? So over here, this is where you are going to choose which microphone you want to use. So I'm just using the standard onboard audio for now. And if I go there and oops, I need to click on this selection tool. I can then scrub through and then I can press record to start recording. And then you will see that the microphone gives a level over there, right? So we want to make sure that this level is around -12 to -18. So for me, it's in the right position. I want it, that's where I want it. If you see that it's reaching the red over there, it means it's clipping. Red is bad, it's gonna sound distorted. You don't want it there. So once I'm done recording, I can press stop. And I've got my recording over there. So now if I play it back, I've got my very nice audio going, right? So it's as simple as that to record. It will do this for you automatically. It will jump to a microphone automatically. And there are settings under preferences as well if you want to change that, but you won't have to, you won't need to. Yeah, so come on. Yeah, so over here you can see under the recording window, when you go to the preferences, under the first tab, devices, there you can also select which device you want to use. Okay, so then you would click OK. I'm not going to do that now because I didn't make any changes. Okay, so we've got our audio recording going. Now, say you want to make your recording sound more interesting. Maybe you want to put an audio bed under it. You can just, so you can just go to wherever the audio bed is. So I've got a bed on my desktop. I've got some MP3s, audio files. So you will have downloaded it before, after you recorded your voice, and you can then pull it in. You just drag it and hover over Audacity and drop it in, right? It will show up as a new track. All right. So now, once I've used this tool that looks like an eye, the selection tool, I can then go in between where I want to scroll through the audio, or I can zoom in or out with this button over here. But I also think this, oh no, that's the playback speed. Ooh, so it's the magnifying glasses to zoom in and out. So I'll leave that on 1, and then we can zoom in or out like that. And you can actually listen to whatever you want to listen to. I'm going to mute this one, and then this track won't play. So you got multiple tracks. And if you want to delete the track, you just click on the X over there. And I could do that because I've already brought in a track. But I'll mute this one now, and I'll unmute this one, the last one that I dragged in. So if you scroll up to the top, you'll see that your voice is there. And if I scroll to the bottom, my music is there. So now I'm saying I want to cut out all this chunk in the beginning of my recording over here, right? So now what I can do is I can use my selection tool. I can highlight that, and I can actually just press delete, right? So for anything that you do, you need to highlight it with the selection tool. When you apply an effect, which I'll show you soon, you need to highlight it first and then apply the effect or delete, right? So I'll press delete here, and you will have seen that all the waveforms before this section is now gone. And so say I want to delete this quiet section here as well. Before I started speaking, I can do the same thing. So I'll just highlight it with the selection tool and press delete. It will immediately move it back in time to eliminate the dead space. Right, but now I want to align my the audio where I want it to be. So I'm going to delete that. And then this tool over here, the one with the arrows pointing left and right, this lets you move a certain clip backwards or forward, right? So say I want the music to play in the beginning on this section over here. I can say, okay, this is where I want my voice clip to start. And now I'll go down to my music, and I, just for demonstration's sake, I'm going to delete this one so that I've got my audio track just below my voice track. And now I can say the music is going to play over here. All right. And I want my voice to start somewhere around there. Right. So now I've got the music for my introduction, and I need it to soften out so it can be. So then this tool over here, the envelope tool, makes this very easy for me to do. So all you do is select the envelope tool and then click with your click on your music track, and then click again at the further point in time just before where you want the audio to be quieter for your voice. And you would have seen that it has this lines. So the line represents level or volume, and then you can drag with the same tool, you drag on the dot, and you can pull it down. So the smaller it is, the more quiet it will be. So I've got a louder level over here, and I can drag that to there. And now when I play it back, say I move the cursor to the beginning, selection tool, and I play from there. Yeah, so you will have heard that the music is a lot softer, and when you're done, you can do the same at the end of your recording. Click on the envelope tool again. Yes.
I'm not sure, but I can't hear the music playback. I'm not sure if anyone else cannot hear it.
Oh, apologies. I probably didn't share with audio. Let me just get that going quickly. I'm gonna stop my share and share computer sound. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. You should be able to hear it now. Let me just play something. Are you hearing it, Laura?
Yes.
Hear it.
Yay.
Hear it.
Okay. So
Thank
what I've explained was it's just bringing the level down, sort of fading it out at the right points when you want it faded out. So to start recording, and then you will see that the microphone. Yeah. So you would do the same thing. You click on the envelope tool, and when your voice ends, you click on there, and you click at another point in time. You just drag and move it according to how you want it, right? So if I play on the end now, I just want to click on my selection tool. If I play on the end now, and the music is recording, I can press stop. So that makes it really simple. All the controls are on the top there, right? And if you hover over it, it tells you what's happening as well. Hide the controls. So that is it. That's all there is to it. I'm just going to show you how to control your microphone level for the basic setup as well, which I should have done in the beginning. But when you export, it's going to export until the end of the audio. So when the last audio is there. So don't leave anything on the timeline that you don't want to be in your MP3 file. So with me, it's ending just under 1 minute. So now when I export it, I'm going to export it in a MP3 file. You can export it in WAV, but WAV files are bigger. MP3 is nice and small, and it works everywhere. Anybody's player will play MP3, cell phones, computers, tablets, or listening devices. So MP3 works everywhere, and it also works in your lecture videos tab. Your lecture videos function within Vula. So you can upload it and then get it with transcripts and captioning in the lecture videos tool as well. So if I click export, my computer is being slow. You can just give it a title over there. So that's webinar MP3, and you can choose the quality of the MP3 here. I leave it in the smallest because most people won't hear the difference. So that will also decrease your file size. But once you click save, it will tell you that all your tracks will be exported as one stereo file, and that's all right. There's no problem with that because everybody listens in stereo. Click OK. Over here, you can give your MP3 a title, all the information that's there, so that when it plays on people's devices, they can see who the artist is, or presenter in this case, or whatever else. So you would click OK, it will run, and once it's done, you've got your file in the location that you saved it. It's as simple as that, right? So before I show you the uploading in Vula, I just want to get that audio, setting your audio level, because for a lot of people, the audio is distorted off the bat, like the standard setting is too loud. Or it could be that it's coming in too low, right? So I'm going to switch on this start monitoring over here. So if I switch that on, it lets me see my level that my microphone is recording at. So I want it at -12, between -12 and -18, right? But how do we set it if it's clipping? We would go to this little icon over here, and we'd say open sound settings. You right click on it and say open sound settings. So I'm just going to use, okay, I'll use this one. No, I'm going to use my standard one because this is how most people are going to see it. Right, so I'll go manage sound devices, I think it was, and microphone. Oh no, apologies. The standard setup is device properties. Yeah, sorry. You select the microphone and you go to device properties. And then you go to additional device properties. And this window will pop up here. Then you go to the tab that says levels. And over here, you'll see there's a microphone boost. And now I'm going to open up Audacity just so we can see what's happening here. So I'll open up both windows. Let me just minimize this one. So I've got Audacity over here and my Realtek audio. So if I bring this down, it should reflect in Audacity, but I think this is a glitch. Hello, hello. Yeah, this is a glitch. Apologies. I need this to switch to this one. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So now you can see that my audio is coming in way too high. So I can switch this boost off firstly. I don't need that boost. And now you can see that my audio isn't clipping anymore, right? My audio is much better. I can actually record like that. I'm just gonna click on the red for it to not clip. But say I want to play it safe and I say, I just wanna be safe because I might get more excited in the course of this lecture or recording. I can bring down my level and I'll say testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. So that's when I speak loudly. So I'm gonna just lift it a little bit more to say 73. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. That's a little bit better. I'm closer to the -12. I can take it up to about 80. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. So that would be perfect between -18 and -12, and that's a great recording level. It's not going to clip even if I get excited. So that's how you would set it, and then you would just click OK, and your levels are set for that particular microphone. Right? So that's your setup, and it's as simple as that. Right? So some of us might have noisy environments and we might not have good microphones. So you can still work with that. And the way you do that is to reduce the noise on the file. So in an attempt to get some noise, let me actually just check here. I made a recording earlier. Zoom out. Oh no, I've deleted that recording. But I can do it again just to give you some noisy audio and then show you how to fix it. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna just shove the gain up on my interface. Or maybe we can just look at this recording. Okay, I'm just gonna actually zoom into this recording. So to zoom in, I'm going to click where I want to zoom in and click the plus. And yeah, so this is a very good trick for anybody that has no other option but to record with a noisy setup. Okay, so once I select, you need to first select the quiet part where there's no speech. So where the line has nothing happening in it, right? So we want to tell the software which sections have noise, what is the noise. So we're telling it what to cut out, right? So you highlight that section over there, the quiet sections. So there'll be a quiet section before you start speaking and where you paused, and then it's going to get just the noise and not your voice. So I've done that there now. And then I'll go to effect. So there's multiple effects here. You can EQ your voice, take out frequencies if you want. But the most important tool for me to sort of fix your audio, if it's noisy, is this one over here, this noise reduction tool. So if I click on it, the reason why I selected the quietness here is because I want to tell it what is actually noise, what I want to cut out. So you would click get noise profile first, right? So now it has the noise profile and it can reduce your noise effectively. So now we want to tell it what we want to cut the noise out on. And I want to cut the noise out on my entire clip. So then you can highlight the entire clip with this selection tool and go back to effect and then go back to noise reduction. And then here you will be able to preview it so you can listen to the noise reduction that's being done. And the higher the number here, this dB, if I increase it to 20, it's going to reduce the noise by even more. And if I lower it, it's going to reduce the noise by less. So this 12 is a great starting point. And the sensitivity here, increasing it will be more. But you need to be careful with this because the more reduction you do, the more you're going to sound like a robot. So the more processing, the more you're going to sound like a robot. So try and keep it subtle. As soon as the noise is lowered to a decent point, be happy with that and click OK. But you would listen to this, right, before you click OK, so you know your settings are good. So I'll click preview and listen to it to start recording. And then you will see that the microphone gives a level. And if I want to hear what it's cutting out, I can click on residue and then click preview again. Now it will play only what it's cutting out. Yeah. So you can hear there that it was playing only what's cut out. So before I click OK, I'm going to click back to reduce. I wanted to leave it on reduce and not the residue. And then you click OK and it will process. And now your audio recording will be noise free. Does a really good job at doing this. And this is a way to fix your audio for older recordings as well. You can just drag it into Audacity and reduce the noise. So say you've got a lecture recording, you want to take a soundbite from a lecture recording from the past and just chuck it into your current podcast. You can use these tools for that as well. And the same with the EQ. But in most cases, the basic devices are set up for recording voice. So you don't even have to EQ it because as long as you've positioned yourself to get a nice natural tone out of it, the microphone will have done a great job. But I'll just show you anyways. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just giving you a heads up. We got 8 minutes left, so we got to wrap up to just do the
Okay,
other demo.
perfect. All right. I'll run through teleprompter and uploading very shortly. So this is your EQ. On this end will be your high frequencies. So all the sibilants, the S's, the T's, and on this end will be the bass. So if you're too bassy, pull it down on these ones and just bring it down. And yeah, where you click, it will go. So you can actually just click to whatever you want. And if you click OK, after listening, once again, you can listen to what the EQ that you did. You can preview it. So for all you need to remember is this is making it brighter sounding. You push this up and it will make it louder. and this for most applications. Okay, so then you click OK, and I'm gonna click cancel because I don't want to do that processing. And that's how you EQ. All right. If you want a little bit more advice on this, mail me and I'll set up a session with you and we can go through this and we can practice. But that is your podcast, right? So now you want to upload that to Vula. I'm gonna go to Vula and you log into Vula like normal. This is just a demo website for webinars. And you click on the lecture videos tool. And this tool allows you to get transcription and captioning going with your audio or your videos, right? So if I click there, it opens up this page and it defaults to recordings, the tab over here, but you go to manage and then you can upload that file over here. So you put in a title, test mp3, sorry, and your name. And then over here where it says choose a video audio file, you click on it and now you will take your mp3 and you say open. And what's important here, if you want the captions, you need to tick off this block here. So then it can then request better transcripts like with video. But the automatic ones work fine in a lot of cases, especially with your clear audio and your enunciation and everything. So we've got that, and then you click upload. So I'm not going to do that now because I've already uploaded one. So what it would show up as is this over here. And this is this one I actually ticked off. So over here, you can edit your captions. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you would just change whatever you want to change, whatever spelling is wrong over here. And then you would click save. So if I wanted to say hello is supposed to be help, I can do that and click save. And then that's how you edit it. But if you don't have the time to go through it and you feel like this feature is good for people to follow along, they can have the text or click to the various options and you want it there, you can say request better captions, right? And then this would send it away to Way with Words, and that will take, I think, up to 48 hours to come back because it's actually transcribed by humans and not the computer. All right, but please only do this for videos that you're actually going to use and use it sparingly because it's free for us to use, but the university still pays for it, for that service. Okay, so there's that, and then I just want to show you how this looks. So if I go back to recordings and I go blah blah podcast, you will have seen that it created this slide. So this slide will be there with your MP3, and if viewers or listeners click on the transcript, they can actually jump to different sections within your podcast over here. So if I click on this, it's going to jump to that point in time.
Button to load the text
right?
document.
So this is a good
Once
way
the script is ready, press the play button to start
this is a good way to
instruct.
Do your chaptering. So like I was saying, be descriptive in your podcast, because if you mention a chapter, they'll see it in the text and they can actually just jump to it then. So if they look for chapter in here, if there was in the recording, they could jump through to it. So that's it for podcasting. And then there's one last tool that I will use to show. If there's no questions, Laura, just if there is questions, just shout it
No,
out.
there's no questions, but yeah, it's just 3 minutes, so we got to wrap up. But
Okay.
just to explain, while Steph gets ready to show the teleprompter app, this is obviously a new podcast that we are or a new webinar that we are giving today. And I know it's a bit overwhelming and there's a lot of tools and tips that Stefan shared, but we have recorded this webinar and it will be posted to the SILT YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome to watch it again, just so that you can go through the steps again on how to create your own podcast. And if you still need some assistance, then you're more than welcome to email the DMU and we can set up a one-on-one consultation to do so. So right now, Stephanie is just going to demonstrate quickly. This is a Telepromptometer app where you can basically pop your script into this application and read your script out loud while you're recording your podcast, because obviously there will be no visual video aspect and you are able to read something on screen without anyone knowing.
Yeah. So you just, in Audacity, you go to wherever you need to record from the teleprompter, hit record, it starts recording, and then you open up your Chrome browser and you go to telepromptometer.com, open up the teleprompter software, like I was showing on the screen just now, click on the microphone so it listens to your mic and it will move and control the speed according to your reading. I'll demonstrate that now. You can set the size and the font color and all of that over here, but you need to click the mic and then click to start, right? So you can speak off script as well. So when you think about something, you can speak off script and you can say, okay, when I start to speak to my script that's on screen now, I want it to move. So this voice activated teleprompter listens to your voice and scrolls automatically when you press play. It's free and works in Chrome browser in Windows, Mac, and Android. It makes your recording scripts fast, easy, and fun. How to use. So you'll see there that it moved when I was recording the script. So I can go off script if I want, or I can just stick to it. It will move as soon as I get back onto it. Right? So this is a very useful tool. It will prevent babbling. It will prevent like mistakes. Like after you're done recording and you realize, oh crap, I left something out.